I'm 54 years old and last year I competed in my first bodybuilding competition. A little bit about myself. My name is Rae Bright. I'm 54 years old and I was born in Norwich in Norfolk. And when I was a baby, we moved to Warwickshire. We lived in a house with a paddock at the bottom of our garden, and in the paddock lived some donkeys. My earliest memory is at the age of about 3 when I went to stroke one of the donkeys and it bit my finger. But that was the start of my obsession with ponies. In the paddock also lived a little grey pony called Frosty, and his owner was a lovely lady who took me under her wing and taught me how to ride. Right from that early age, she would strap me on Frosty's back. I'd hang on to his neck strap and he'd canter around the field with me. I was in love. So my whole childhood, I was devoted to ponies and riding. And I used to love competing. It started off with local gymkhanas and the pony club. But then when I was about 14, I was lucky enough to ride a lovely pony called Flicker, also a grey. She was 13.3 hands high and totally unschooled, but she was a brilliant show jumper. And we won everything, and I wanted to be a famous show jumper. That was my goal in life. But sadly, coming from a non-horsey family, my goal, my dream, I just couldn't achieve it. And by the age of 20, I'd given up riding. And in this video, I'll share a little bit about how my show jumping dream turned to my bodybuilding dream.
And an excellent winner, let's give her a big round of applause, Rae Bright!
I got married at 23 and had my son at the age of 28, followed by my beautiful daughter when I was 30. When I was pregnant, I took up yoga, but because we were on a limited budget, I had to find a way of exercising at home, and I discovered a lady called Barbara Currie, and she had some videos. So I bought her videos, and every morning I would get up and follow one of her videos without fail. And I kept following her videos for years. I then discovered he was a British breakfast TV broadcaster, and his name was Mr Motivator, and he did fitness videos, and I loved watching his videos on the TV, so I added those into my routine. I will insert a clip of him because Mr Motivator, if you haven't heard of him, he was amazing. He wore very brightly coloured gym gear, and he was just so much fun to work out to.
Go, 8, 7, and 6, push it out, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the top leg, here's what you're gonna lift it up, hold it up there. Now this time, you're gonna bring the knee to the floor, push it up, and down to the floor, push it up. You can do it. Everything is possible. You can do it. You got to make that first step. Get exercising. It's the best insurance policy in the world. Why, I hear you say? Because it pays out whilst you're alive.
So for years, all I did was exercise at home. And then, a bit later on, I took up power walking as a way to also keep fit. I used to love power walking. I wanted to run, but I always found when I run, I just got so out of breath that I hated it. But when I was 40, my friend, who was a runner, invited me to train with her for a half marathon. So I decided to take the challenge. and we'd trained together, and I discovered by running slower I could actually run. So that was the secret. I just had to run a little bit slower. And I did my first half marathon. It was in Malvern, and I had a time set for myself. I can't remember what it was now, but I completed it in my time, and I was so pleased with myself that I decided to enter another half marathon. This was in Cardiff, but 2 weeks before the run I injured my piriformis muscle, and so I couldn't enter. But I didn't want to give up training, so I had to find another way, and I decided to take up cycling. I had an old mountain bike, and I got my mountain bike out, put some road tyres on it, and it was coming up to winter, and I remember I would go out on my bike and I was covering about 100 miles a week, even in the rain and the cold. And I did do a little bit of mountain biking, but really I just loved being out on the road. So I did that for a while. I had already had a bit of an insight into weight training when I was 35. I got divorced at the age of 35, and I went back to college to retrain, and I joined a gym, and I just went along to use the cardio equipment, but I was intrigued by the weights and really wanted to have a go. I was just too shy, and I never did it. I did actually join a leisure centre near where I lived, and I had an induction at the gym, and I did do a little bit of weight training, but I was always too shy to ask how to use the equipment or how to do exercises. So unfortunately it never really came to much, but I was very keen. I really wanted to do it. I then joined another gym. This time it was a bodybuilding gym, and a friend of mine had recommended it. So at the time I was doing my cycling, but I thought maybe I'll join the gym and I'll see how I get on. So I went along and I met the owner, and he said to me, "You should do a competition. You've got a great back. It wouldn't take much to get you on the stage." And I was like, wow, that would be amazing. I'd love to enter a bodybuilding competition. So I paid an annual membership, and I went for a personal training session, and then I went to the gym about 10 times and gave up, because I was so intimidated by the people who trained there, and I was too shy to ask for help again. And anyway, it was the summer, it was just nicer to be outside on my bike. But I still had this dream that I wanted to be a bodybuilder. And at the time, I was still single. I'd been single for a long time. I'd tried a bit of internet dating and it didn't work, but eventually I met Andrew, who was totally my dream man. He is my dream man. I was 49 when I met Andrew, and we actually met on Tinder. That's another story. But Andrew loved weight training, and when I asked him to take me to the gym with him, he was so happy. He said to me he never thought he'd meet somebody who would want to train with him. So we started to train together in January 2015. I went to live with Andrew, and we went to the gym every other night. It was brilliant. I loved it. He taught me so much. And that was it. I was hooked. And I kept thinking in the back of my mind, one day I want to enter a bodybuilding competition. I didn't really know much about them. And it wasn't until this time last year, I saw a poster on the wall for a bodybuilding competition, and I decided, right, that's it, I'm going to do it. And I committed to entering. And I only wanted to enter one competition just to say that I had competed. I was 53 at the time, and I just wanted to say I'd done it. But I entered my first show and got hooked. So I ended up entering into 3 shows with 3 different federations in 3 different categories and qualifying for 3 British finals. So it was amazing. I chose one British final to focus on, and that was with the PCA, and the British final was last October. And being on the stage at the British finals was just incredible, and I placed 5th. So I was really happy to be placed 5th, but I wish I'd won. I entered, it was a category called the Bikini Masters, and it was for over 35s, but it left me wanting more. So I'm going to be planning my competing season for this year. And I will share information about that in another video. So that's enough for now. Anything I've talked about here, if you want to know more, please mention it in the comments and I will do a video covering this in more detail. But in the meantime, please like and subscribe, because there's going to be loads more videos coming your way.